Okay, let's dive right into this explainer, where we're going to completely reframe some of our most difficult mental states and look at them as ancient survival tools. If you've ever felt like your own mind is just, working against you, churning out anxiety, overthinking, or even dropping you into depressive states, trust me, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating science behind why our brains actually do this. We're going to explore how these incredibly heavy, exhausting mental states aren't necessarily signs of a broken machine, but rather deeply evolved mechanisms literally designed to keep us alive.
So, we have all been there, right? You leave a meeting or you hit send on a really important email, and immediately your mind just starts racing. You agonize over whether you said the right thing, you dissect every single word, every facial expression. And on the surface, everything went perfectly well. Yet as you drive home, this quiet replay begins in your head. And you kind of just find yourself asking, why does my brain torture me like this? It feels like a flaw, doesn't it? Like a lack of confidence. But as we're going to see, it is actually a highly sophisticated, deeply ingrained protective response.
To understand exactly how our minds protect us, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the brain's safety mission, move into the neuroscience of overthinking, and then look at the illusion of safety. After that, we'll dive into the evolutionary roots of depression, signaling need to others, and finally, wrap up with how you can reclaim your mental clarity. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The brain's safety mission. Constantly asking, am I safe? We so often think our brain just wants us to be happy and super productive, but its primary, absolute primal concern is simply keeping us socially and physically safe, period. To do this, it acts as a prediction machine. This brilliantly illustrates a process known as predictive coding. You see, your brain doesn't just passively absorb the world around you. It actively generates a mental model of what should happen next. It predicts sensory inputs and then instantly compares those predictions to reality. When there's a mismatch, say a colleague pauses just a little too long before answering your question, bam, that creates a prediction error. Your brain immediately zeroes in on that error to figure out, hey, does this represent a threat to my social survival?
Now, what's genuinely wild here is the profound connection between physical and social pain. Modern neuroscience shows us that experiences like criticism or rejection activate the exact same neural regions as physical discomfort. Specifically, both of them trigger the anterior cingulate cortex, meaning your brain treats a badly worded email or a silent response as a literal life or death scenario. To your nervous system, social rejection hurts just like a physical injury. Because, think about it, in our ancient past, being excluded from the tribe meant pretty much certain death.
Moving on to Section 2, the neuroscience of overthinking, a search for certainty.
When your predictive brain perceives a social threat, one of those prediction errors that feels like a physical punch to the gut, it panics. It deploys specific tactics to frantically search for certainty. It acts like a massive magnifying glass, aggressively shifting your attention inward to rigorously monitor your own behavior. It literally forces you to replay past conversations to hunt for errors, and it anticipates negative outcomes so you won't be caught off guard next time. And because of our innate negativity bias, it'll completely fixate on a single critique while totally ignoring overwhelming praise. So the crucial takeaway here is that heightened self-focus and dwelling on a negative comment, that is actually your brain's well-intentioned strategy to ensure your social survival. It's just trying to regain a sense of control.
Section 3. The illusion of safety. The Walkman experiment.
Let's see how all this builds into an incredible real-world phenomenon. We're going to look at a fascinating behavioral economics experiment to see how we actively try to ease this constant low-level anxiety. So researchers did an experiment using real money and a brand new Panasonic Walkman, which was a hugely prized possession at the time. But there was a catch. Participants faced an exact 1 in 6 chance, determined by literally rolling a die, of losing that Walkman to a simulated mechanical defect. If a 6 came up, the product was declared defective, and they walked away with nothing. The researchers then measured the participants' willingness to pay for a warranty to protect against this exact 1 in 6 loss. Now, naturally, the people classified as high worriers wanted to pay a higher baseline amount for protection than the low worriers. Makes sense, right? But here is the twist. For some groups, the researchers physically handed the Walkman over to the person to hold before asking what they'd pay for the warranty. When high worriers were physically handed the Walkman, their willingness to pay suddenly and significantly dropped. The low worriers, totally unaffected by holding the object.
So why did simply holding the Walkman lower the high worrier's need for a warranty? The objective math, the probability of loss, was still exactly 1 in 6. Well, researchers call this the safety illusion. Holding the object acts kind of like a childhood teddy bear. It becomes a transitional object.
This brilliantly proves that high worriers have developed these automatic self-regulation tactics. Because their brains are constantly sounding the threat alarm, they are highly practiced at grasping onto simple, even irrational, mechanisms to grant themselves an illusion of safety and just reassure their frazzled nervous system.
Section 4. Evolutionary roots of depression, more than a pathology.
If everyday worry is a defense mechanism, evolutionary psychiatry suggests that clinical depression might also be a deep-seated adaptation. Far from just being a biological flaw, the behavioral shutdown model argues that the symptoms of depression have a profound physiological purpose. Think of it exactly like a fever. Just as a fever raises your body temperature to kill a virus, which is a costly but absolutely necessary defense, lethargy and isolation physically protect the body. If an organism faces unstoppable stressors, depression triggers a shutdown. It conserves energy. By drastically reducing social interactions, it historically prevented the spread of transmissible diseases to family members, and it predicted the vulnerable individual from further social conflict or physical danger.
Another incredible evolutionary view is the analytical rumination hypothesis. This breaks down how depression essentially forces an individual to pause their life. Step 1. An individual faces a massive, complex life problem. Step 2. Depression induces anhedonia, which is the total loss of pleasure. Why? Because pleasure is distracting. By eliminating the desire to socialize or eat or go out, Step 3 occurs. All external distractions are entirely eliminated. And that leads directly to Step 4, forcing the brain to obsessively focus on and analytically ruminate over a major threat to their fitness in order to actually solve it.
Section 5. Signaling need to others, the cost of help.
Another theory looks outward at how this shutdown communicates with the rest of the tribe. This is known as honest signaling theory. In nature, cheap signals, like just saying, "Hey, I need help," might not be believed by social partners when resources are super scarce. But the symptoms of major depression, they are incredibly debilitating and costly. Because of this, fake sufferers just couldn't afford the cost of losing out on all of life's benefits. Meaning, the severe pain and withdrawal honestly signals to the tribe that you aren't faking it. You desperately, credibly need support and intervention right now. Building right on top of that is the bargaining theory. This one views depression as a strictly subconscious, drastic negotiation tactic. Think of being trapped in a tight, unfair social contract. By shutting down, the depressed individual halts the flow of normal socioeconomic benefits they usually provide to the group. This places the fitness of their social partners, say a reluctant spouse, at severe risk. It essentially extorts concessions, forcing a complete restructuring of their social contracts and compelling help that might otherwise be withheld.
Section 6. Reclaiming your mental clarity, making peace with your mind.
We've covered some incredibly deep, heavy evolutionary biology today. So how do we actually find peace in our modern office environments and our daily lives? Well, this ancient Chinese proverb beautifully summarizes our goal here. We can't stop our predictive brains from scanning for threats. We just can't. It is hardwired into our biology to look for that social danger, to generate that prediction error, and to feel that hot flash of anxiety. The birds of worry will fly over, but we absolutely can control how long we let those thoughts stay. We can stop them from building a nest.
So here is how you practically put this into action. Step 1. Recognize overthinking not as a personal failure, but as a biological safety mechanism. Your brain is quite literally just trying to protect you. Step 2. Spot the negativity bias. When you fixate on that one bad comment, label it. Say, "That's just my brain doing its ancient job," rather than accepting it as objective reality. And Step 3. Ground yourself. By treating your racing mind with compassion rather than criticism, you ease that need for the safety illusion. You break the loop, and you can gently redirect your attention to confident, values-based action.
I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. The next time you find yourself obsessing over a random email or feeling an unexplainable heaviness, I really want you to remember the incredible science behind it. Your mind is not broken. It is not your enemy. I encourage you to see it as an overprotective friend, one that's been keeping your ancestors alive for thousands of years. How will you choose to respond to that friend tomorrow? Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.